Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the conference organizers for inviting me to speak today. As Europe emerges from the crisis caused by the pandemic, we need reliable growth sources to underpin and stimulate our economy for many years to come. Over the last few months, I have often said that investing in Europe's transition to a climate-neutral economy will be a key part of our wider economic recovery. This means pressing ahead with a Green Deal. It means creating growth that is sustainable in the longer term, and it means rethinking how we invest. The challenge of the climate change has not gone away with the pandemic. While we are focusing on the immediate consequences of this crisis, climate change remains an urgent issue to address. So the Green Deal's goal of reaching climate neutrality by 2050 remains very much in place. As a stepping stone, we want to raise our target for 2030. The plan is to cut greenhouse emissions by at least 50% and towards 55% rather than our current target of 40%. There will be a long list of projects and activities to fund, a way of renovating buildings and infrastructure that will also create many new jobs. More renewable energy projects, especially wind, solar and hydrogen. Cleaner and smarter transport and logistics. Of course, all this ambition comes with a hefty price tag. Just to meet our current 2030 climate and energy targets, we need an extra 260 billion euros in annual investment. As we raise our ambition to cut emissions, we will need even more money to fund a long list of projects and activities. On the public funding side, we are doing as much as we can. The Green Deal investment plan will encourage all public authorities, companies and investors to think green when we invest. Over the next decade, it should generate at least 1 trillion euros from both public and private sectors. However, even with other spending programs, this will not be enough. And since the public purse clearly cannot meet the bill on its own, it will have to rely on the private sector. Public funding should lead the way, leveraging the private sector to generate the scale of investment that Europe needs for a fair and inclusive green transition. For that to happen effectively, we need the support of deep, fully functioning and integrated capital markets. This brings me to the Capital Markets Union, which will be fundamental for our economic recovery. We are committed to presenting the CMU action plan in the early autumn. But before that, there are more immediate plans for capital markets to support the recovery, and so I will present a capital markets recovery package on 22nd of July. In addition, investors need a conducive environment to be attracted towards sustainable projects. This is why sustainable finance tools such as EU taxonomy system, climate benchmarks and the EU standard for green bonds are so important. The taxonomy regulation will enter into force on 12th of July. These instruments will guide investors towards reorienting capital flows into sustainable investment. And they can help to align public and private finance towards a green recovery. In addition to what the EU is already doing in this area, I plan to present a renewed sustainable finance strategy this year. The public consultation for this is open until 15th of July. Lastly, I would like to repeat my strong belief in global cooperation on climate change. The EU is actively working to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions. But since we account for only 9% of the global total, other countries need to play their part as well. That is why we launched the International Platform on Sustainable Finance with other like-minded countries. I see it as vital for stimulating investment and redirecting capital flows towards our climate objectives at the scale needed for the most important economic transition of our times. The platform has now 13 members. Singapore and New Zealand joined most recently in June. Together, they represent half of global greenhouse gas emissions and 45% of global GDP. There is a lot of potential here to work together and green the global financial system. We are looking forward to other countries joining our work. With global cooperation, we can achieve much more together than alone, and make a cleaner planet too. Thank you.